Okay, here we are back at the 451st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. And I'm willing to bet that Mr. Kesh is ready to begin the second part of today's workshop.
Ready and willing and able. Yes. Thank you very much. A lot of things has been made possible by a lot of work of many knowledge seekers. And as I said, step by step on the shoulder of what we've done in the past, we have built the knowledge of today. And we're entering a very interesting phase of development of the knowledge. The biggest problem now is getting humanity to accept the new knowledge and new technology. And the biggest problem for most of our knowledge seekers will be in how they will take this, how far we go with this, and how we'll bring the change. The importance of the knowledge seekers, satellite knowledge seekers who signed in, is will become apparent in the coming time. Very, very interesting how the soul of the knowledge seekers who become the satellites' souls will bring that change. And it's very much like when you chose to become the member of Universal Council. The satellite souls will bring huge changes, huge achievements, rapid achievements for us in changing the soul of the man, ingraining that change. That's the biggest problem. Are there any questions? Before we go to the questions, there are a couple of things I've been asked to mention by a different part of the Keshe Foundation management. Many of you still go to the websites and looking for the satellites. We have brought those up to the front, as I said last week. Last week we introduced for the first time paintings through the what we call gas production, and the paintings were sold immediately, and the second set of paintings were sold. And we have knowledge seekers, painters, artists, artisans who are getting in touch with the Keshe Foundation and they want to put their work in. We have accepted another painter from Italy this week to join us, and you will see her work is on the sales of the Keshe Foundation site. We have added new paintings to this collection. Like you buy everything else, now Keshe Foundation, through the work of the what we call our knowledge seekers, have opened what we call a paint section, where the paintings of the knowledge seekers around the world will be put. They will send the work to the Keshe Foundation, and it will be set up, and it will be what we call goes for commissioning and for what we call the sale with the Keshe Foundation team. You will be able to see many of these, which is now on sale, and or you can actually send your request for the picture you want it to be produced as what we call paintings, the way you want to feel at home with it, and you commission the work, and we put it out to what we call paintings. If you make glassware with Ganses, if you make pottery with Ganses, if you make anything else with Ganses, the Keshe Foundation now has to start going out and reaching what we call the supporters. In a way, allowing the application of the technology to come through the technology. You got to realize one thing, and I brought that from the beginning of the work of the Keshe Foundation. We open our patterns for you to expand the knowledge. We did not put the patents to lock it up in courtrooms and lawsuits who used it. Now we allow you to show what you learned from this open patent, how you mix it in your knowledge, how you brought it to work with what you do. And it'll be interesting to see the knowledge seekers using the gases in glasses in the house, that it brings a total change in the house as the light comes in and adds up with the energy of the gas. You'll see how the other parts of technology, and we are there to promote you. We are not there to stop. But remember one thing, we open and stop the patent business this way, and you'll see more and more of it in coming weeks and months, is for you to support back the Keshe Foundation. Put back in, not take all, because this allows us to serve the others. You don't make a donation, you put back in for what you took. Many of you have opened shops, many of you have opened internet shops, many of you making ganses and systems and you sell. Ask yourself, why don't I become successful? Because you work on the old tradition of stealing. Put back where it is, where it came from, and we can evolve it. The soul of the humanity evolves it. When you steal, you don't get benefit by it. And we see many, many knowledge seekers that are happy to sell one system of something here, one there, just about to make. Bring it back into the community, let it evolve, like the painters you see and others. Come back and we promote you with the knowledge. This Keshe Foundation is a foundation, it belongs to you. You can't steal from the family and come and take when it suits you. We have people in London who are day and night making things. What have you put back into the foundation? Nothing. You'll be working for the rest of your lives, for nothing. You hear people the same in China, in Iran, everywhere. They are busy making one Maghreb and happy that's our soul one. Bring the technology back and put back where you get it from, and then you'll get bigger part out of it. The people who stole our technology are factory in Italy. We still let you back in, but you have to find out how to sort it out. You thought you were clever stealing after we set it up so much. Now, I'll give you a very clear line. Bring it back in where you took it, or we take it from you through your own soul. You still have to understand the conduct of your soul will pay for what you've done. Everything has to be the correct way. Anyway, as you see the pictures, they're now for sale. Each one is beautiful. These are paintings. An artist has spent time making it, painting it, and they're all in twins, in doubles. Any questions? These are the new two paintings from our new artist in Italy, younger, and it should provide us with a couple of more paintings in the coming weeks that you will see. And our resident painter, as I call it, is supplying those beautiful paintings. But if you're a painter and you paint with plasma materials, we are here to promote and make your life easier for you if you can sell 1 or 2 paintings a year or 2 or 3 paintings a year from the collection. Any questions?
Okay, Freed has a question in the live stream here. In the view that this is International Peace Week, he asks, can we hereby announce the Intergalactic Peace Week?
Hello. Wow.
Can you hear Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I can hear. Oh, we don't work a week, we work every day for that piece work. And we'll see the changes. They're trying to call it at least, but God help them. The way we set up is to create a permanent peace through technology and knowledge. When you create a country, I prefer not to say till it's completely sorted, but you'll hear big changes in the Keshe Foundation work in the coming months. And as we develop, as we reach that point, we put you all in the position to understand what is coming and what is about to come in the whole structure. The purpose of our work is change through science and technology. It's a new industrial revolution. And industrial revolutions bring economical and political changes. As I was explaining to a knowledge seeker in the past couple of days, the rulers and the kings in the past, especially you travel around Europe and everywhere, they built castles. And they put posts on every corner of the castle to watch who's coming and who's going and protect to what they were supposed to protect, but they were stealing from their subjects for them to be the king. When the man created the cannon, and then we found out the castles are not that good anymore because the cannon can breach it. The rulers of the world hid within the palaces, and now we've seen with the high-fly rockets and aircrafts, those palaces are not safe anymore. And they can be breached from other corners of this planet. So they go deeper in the ground or they hide somewhere. With this new technology, no soul can hide, not in the deepest, darkest corners of the universe. And this itself will bring justice and peace. You cannot do what you like and hide behind the walls of Kremlin. You cannot order your citizens to be plowed out like a grass and cover yourself in the name of the religion and palaces of power. We reach you in your bed. We reach you in your dreams. We reach you in a position that now, as we saw, the castles and the palaces and underground silos are not safe anymore. With this technology, nobody is safe for those who abuse the soul of any creatures in the universe. Now you understand why the test of this week was so important. Is that first cannon we showed the castles can be breached. Now we breach the castle of the soul of the man. You have not even grasped what has happened this week. If we can take your soul out, we can reach your soul, we can tame it, we can not control it, but elevate it. But it brings shame onto the dimension of physicality. It's a huge change. It's the first bullet into what I call abuse of man by himself and abusing the others. I don't want to say anything, but one day I explained about this gentleman and his wife afterwards. And you hear them very clearly in their interview what they say. You have to be wise to listen to the words. And then you understand how much change has come. So if our rulers hid behind the castles and the palaces and the crowns, now they have nowhere to hide within their own soul. Very interesting position has risen in this week. Very, very interesting. So we'll bring the peace through knowledge and the knowledge of the soul and not the technology of the man. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. We have a couple of questions from Jefferson in the Q&A here in our Zoom channel. He says, good morning, Mr. Kesh. My name is Jefferson Modesto. I'm from Brazil. Thank you very much for your presence among us. Please allow me to ask 2 questions. Question 1. Does an ionized atom or molecule create plasma fields? If so, in an environment where there is oxygen, nitrogen, or other ionized gases, is there a possibility that clouds of energy packets exist?
Of course it does. Of course it does. We had a very interesting test this week with this transmutation. Where up to now, in all our tests, we allowed, and our system was set that you could see the expansion, or you could feel the expansion of your soul. With a new setting of the soul being controlled within the dimension, we allowed a soul, separate soul, to enter the test flight. We usually do all sorts of tests. We have to understand, we have to comprehend the interaction of the fields. And what was seen was, to the gentleman, was very strange, but to us, I set it up to the that way. As you remember, this is the room, and this is the system, and we're still keeping our 3 chairs. We're still using these 3 chairs quite a lot for different purposes. We set the system with 2 passengers who are not knowing each other, totally different, for a standard flight system, but understanding the system was open for total combination if we wanted to switch on the other side, because we can control if one is going or not. We sent this gentleman through the old system of 1, 2, 3 to the seat of the soul, with having a soul which was going through development in the system expansion. What we were expecting exactly was to see how the dimension of the soul of the fields of this would interact with the dimension of the soul of this. Understanding that the system we created is stronger. The gentleman sitting here tells us he could feel when he got to this, because this is a soul level and this machine is set on the soul level, so interaction is at the soul level between the 2 systems, him and the system near to him, which is about half a meter, and what he saw was a cloud formation around his foot and his body. And he could clearly say, tell us, I saw the change. I could see something was happening, but he was inside because he was in the cocoon of his soul. He said, on this chair, I could see clouds at my feet. And at the extremities of his leg. which was the interaction of the two souls of the systems inside and outside. For the first time, we have managed to create physical interaction and have the person witness to the physical interaction of two souls. It's like when you break a sound barrier, you see that cloud. It's like when you have two different temperatures and creates a steam and then that kind of thing. And he could tell us clearly, I did this test. I wanted to know how the souls react at the soul level. And again, the answer was the same. Don't forget the last chair is a soul chair. He didn't have that in the first two. These are what we expect to see when we add a second flight path to this. And we expect to see clouds between the two back-ended seat and the front seat. So every soul, every system, doesn't matter, ionized, not ionized, free soul, tight soul, whatever, when they interact, they release energy. Otherwise, they can't be. If you call it an ion, it means collection of plasmids. So it has to interact. It has a magnetic field, it has a direction. And like here, if we see two plasmas interact, the observer sees the cloud of his own soul in interaction with the person inside. There's a lot of tests to be done. I expect in a test to come up in a very near future to see the environment of the flight zone to be lit by the interaction of the two souls in the system. We are setting it up. It's important for us to do this because this will be done with a couple who want to have a child. This test will be done with those couples who could never have a child. Because this light will be the soul of the light of the child. The way Mitra has created his first child on earth. We are setting the system up for this creation of the soul of a child. Now you go to clinics to have all sorts of things done for you to have a child. The soul of the child, the soul of the interaction of the love of the two. And once completed, will return to the womb of the mother to nourish as the soul of physicality of the man. As usual, we don't tell you what, but as we saw the clouds here with judgment, we'll see the light here. We set the system for creation of the soul of the man and teach the man how to create the children of the future. This is already possible with the system we have, but we have to find the right couple. We're looking to create a child. They cannot have it in the dimension of physicality. This is the changes which this new technology will bring us. This child will never be sick. This child will never go through the suffering of the man, even though we live the life of the man. We are doing a lot of tests in this room, which is not open to public. And we know what is the next step, what is to be done. If you notice, I have not left the room. I'm not here, let somebody else to do it. It's just there for them to run for the fun. Every single case I'm in there to see whether there is a need for a fine tuning, what needs to be learned to be there to be for the next step of the development. And this is how it will come to be. Listen to the talk of testimonial of this couple. They even tell you they feel a change just coming out of the system in their relationship after 39 years being married. Then you understand. We used to tell many couples using the Keshe Foundation technology when they were grandparents, be careful not to become parents, as they looked at it as a way a man makes child. They looked at it as the way the generation of the soul has no age limit. So, if you think about the iron, cannot be there if it's not the energy field itself. Any other question?
Okay, I think you partially answered the second question from Jefferson, which is a bit involved here, but let me ask. He says, in physics, we have a phenomenon known as the Lorentz force, which is the result of the superposition of the electric force from an electric field with the magnetic force due to a magnetic field acting on electrically charged particles that move in space. Is there a relationship between the flux of magnetic and gravitational fields of plasma, the electric field of ionized atoms or molecules, such as, for example, these ions, and the Lorentz force? If so, we can say that a plasma field flux creates a force that causes the circular motion of dowsing instruments, such as pendulums, and that when this motion is clockwise, we are in a relatively more magnetic field than our body, and when it's counterclockwise, are we in a relatively more gravitational field than our body?
Now, put it this way, what happens if you mix a pink color water with a yellow color water, and then you throw some of the water in the air or throw some of them on the earth? You keep on playing with what I call words. Magnetic field, electric field, it's all the same, it's an energy pack. As knowledge seekers, you should become wise to it. Look at the field. There is a beautiful tape on the Iranian channel, and it's put in by a very old gentleman holding one of these like dowsing bars in front of him. And he says, you look, the bar moves as I decide. If I turn my eye a little, the bar moves a little to the right and a little to the left. If I look far to the right, the bar moves all the way far to the right, and I can control the speed of it. And he shows you, literally physically in front of you, he shows you. And it's very interesting, and he says how our emotion controls the physicality. I'll try to find it. It's a beautiful knowledge seekers responding to Dr. Asad's question or discussion in the Iranian channel. And in a way, if the thoughts can dictate the radius of the pan, what is called a dowsing thing by it, why can't other things do? And every time we talk about electric currents and plasma current and electric field force, And the plasma field force, just consider all of them cannot be there. They're all fields of magnetic field with different strength. You decide to put different names on them. If they're two equal, you don't see anything. If any of them is stronger or weaker than one, you see an interaction. And interaction is a friction of the magnetic fields creates something. As simple as that. A child of 5 years old understand this can create what the professors with PhDs cannot understand. That's all. I don't understand why knowledge seekers make so complicated things to show they understand. And some of the knowledge seekers are becoming worse than the hypocrisy of the past professors and other people in the world of the present science. Understand you're dealing with fields and how they interact, which way they interact, how they rub dictates what you get. That's it. Doesn't matter what name you put in it, liver, kidney, magnetic fields, plasma fields. What? It's just fields with different strength. Find out, understand which one, which is strength, and that's it. Bob's your uncle, as we say in English. I'll be in England in a very short time. And we would like to meet with a lot of English knowledge seekers. We have a reason for it. I'll be arriving in England in a very short time, and we will make an announcement, the reason for it, why, and we will invite you to a very private conference for the English knowledge seekers. There is a move by the Keshe Foundation which will be announced. I'll be then moving to Romania. Again, we would like to meet not with what I call Hachibaji knowledge seekers. Knowledge seekers who are there to understand and bring the changes. Then we travel to 2 other European and Asian countries to set up a structure for the Keshe Foundation in a very, very deep way. And we invite you to join us. These are not conferences. We don't set up conferences. We want to meet on a very friendly basis with most of the knowledge seekers in UK and see how we can structure the United Kingdom's Keshe Foundation. Structure because we have a plan. Then the same will go to Romania. We have a plan for Romania and it'll go the same way. We want to meet with the knowledge seekers in Romania and set and structure a process which is important for us. We don't want shiny binding people, oh, I've done this. No. We want to set a work for foundation. We want to see what talent sits within the foundation which is acceptable to us, not just because you're a knowledge seeker. Otherwise, we recruit from outside, we bring from outside to do what we wanted. And the same will go in 2 other states in the next few months. And this is part of the work of the expansion of the Keshe Foundation for what we are doing and what needs to be done. Any other question?
I was sent that video you were talking about. Do you want to have a look at that?
Which video?
The Iranian one with the
old man with the beard.
Yeah.
Okay, put it on. It's beautiful if you understand
just
it.
It's a short one.
Yep, it's very nice. It's very, very interesting.
Okay, here we go.
تقدیم به آقای دکتر برارپور عزیز. اعتقاد من اینه، تجربه من اینه که ما با این میله ذهن ما، حرکت فکر ماست که او را تکون میده، یا بالا پایین میکنه یا پایین.
Can you stop it, Rick?
نه شخص.
What he's saying is, I said that as Dr. Barapur, because he controls all the Keshe Foundation teachings. And he says that he wants to show Dr. Akbar that is the thought which controls the movement of this dicing bar. And he shows it with the movement of his head and the way his eye moves. And it's beautiful the way he explains it. That's a whole, doesn't need more translation, but that's what he actually does and what he's showing. Carry on, please.
روبرویی البته اونم امکان پذیره. از کردن تجربه من اینه. ببینید سریع این حرکتش میدم که ببینم دوستانم تجربه های دیگرشون رو بگذارن. آی دکتر تمایل داشت که اینا در گروه بگذارید، بندم اطاعت امر کردم. یا علی.
It's beautiful the way he controls even the speed of the dicing bar. Interaction of the thoughts with physical dimension of the matter state. I think that should answer the question which you wanted to know, if one plasma interacts with the other and what it does. Thank you very much, Rick, for finding it so quick.
That was Farzam that sent that to me, and very quickly. Thank you for that. Okay, we have a hand up with, speaking of Iranian, we have Marinez with a hand up here with a question, apparently.
Thank you very much. Rick, good morning, Mr. Cash, and congratulations to you for these rapid discoveries, and congratulations to all your team who work relentlessly. Thank you very much. And I had a question about this satellite effect for raising, elevating humanity or others. That's wonderful. You always talked about that before. Now it's probably available. The question is, when we elevate man this quickly without they take the steps of, error and trial and raising the soul,
We
favor to them.
we've done this before. If you think of it, is the example of this is preset. You never stood still to see it. When we make somebody who has not walked for years in bed within a few days, to the world of science, it's impossibility. But because you create that motion through the level of the soul, physicality just follows. When I get a person who's been paralyzed in bed with half a brain taken out after 2 weeks, 3 weeks walking, the muscle tissues don't even have the strength to walk. You go to any physiotherapy, tell them that somebody who's been in bed for 5 years, now walking after 2 weeks, they say it's impossible. The muscle tissue tears apart. Doesn't have the strength to do it. But they do, because it's the soul which goes. We have done a lot of things which you only looked at the physical condition, you never looked at the soul condition. So we already presented the already knowledge to elevate soul to take the physicality is there, but you only looked at the walking. You never understood the mechanism behind it. When you saw the Chinese man, trying to run and drive after 4 or 5 days. When there is hundreds of hours of recording of a patient in hand of the doctors in Belgium with literally flat head walking after about 4 weeks, 3 weeks. And she can't even remember. When she comes back, but says, when can I walk? And we show the video to her that says you're walking. When you see people come out of the coma and they move their body, which cannot be done, it's been there for a month, no motion, nothing, and now suddenly moves. It's the soul of the physicality which moves it, and we know how to access it. So the knowledge has been there. You looked at the physical side. We tried to understand the strength of the soul side, energy side, and now instead of being paralysis in the leg you try to move, we move paralysis in the brain and the soul. That's all it is. You looked at, as a human being, on the physical side they can move. We looked at how the soul and soul of physicality has moved the body without any exercises. How long physiotherapy you need when you put an arm in a plaster for 3, 6, or 10 weeks, and then you have to get it opened? Can you open it straight away and run? No, it needs time to open up. But we do it instantaneous. The same as your knowledge seekers go in a flight machine instantaneously, end up on Mars and Moon, and they know how to live in the boat, in the ship, or in the water.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. So is it kind of temporary or permanent, this elevation?
It's permanent. It's permanent.
Wow.
The
That's a lot.
elevation of the soul is permanent.
And still, do they have to judge their souls? You call it opening the books? Whatever they have.
Some will do. Some will do. They don't open the book. They see the result of their action.
Some means the worst cases.
Doesn't matter. We don't go case by. I don't know anything about the people who come in to the system. We don't choose a race, color, criminality. We don't know if they are who they are, what conditions they come in. We are not. You choose. You want to get to that point. And the expectation, what we expect. The gentleman I was talking to about the clouds, we could see, and when he went to the system and he wanted to go to the moon, and he came out and says, I was crying. I said, why were you crying for? Because I wanted to go, everybody does, but I couldn't do it. I said, but you have achieved more than anybody else achieved. You're the first person who managed to see the clouds between the interaction of the fields of your system, your soul, and the soul in the machine. And he could not understand what a confirmation of the technology he's achieved, but we could not do it before the system was set for transmutation, that it passes the boundary of the system controlled with us, that it could interact with him. We didn't put anybody else on the system to check. It was just him. And we tested with another one in a different condition in the same seat. It's amazing what you see in that room. If you know what you're looking for, if you know what you set the test and you get a confirmation is correct, then the point is that those of you who are not from this planet, you are the souls which are grown on this planet, but in the dimension of physicality of the man, very soon you will show yourself in these machines. Very, very soon we will see amazing light work when we have what I call passengers of the universe with us in this machine. We've seen 2 cases. Soft touch, and I immediately stopped the process. I asked them, can you leave the room? Or can you leave the system and go somewhere else? Because I know man is not ready to see that. We have seen passengers of the universe in this room up to now. But is the human race ready for it? That's the biggest question. Rick, would you like to change the screen, please?
So that's the question. If human being now is ready for it.
If he wasn't ready, we wouldn't be here. It's just getting him through.
Thank you very much. Could we say, just the last question, that, for example, during the last history of a prophet was Prophet Muhammad, that he could change in a space of 20 years, 30 years, the whole construction, mental construction of these Badawi desert men, Arab men. Could we say that he elevated the soul of these people around him, and they could go to culture and science and a kind of
You
nobility?
see, I'm very opinionated about this. You don't ask me that question as a Iranian. What is interesting is why he changed the culture or opinion or knowledge of the Bedouins and brought such a nonsense people in the name of religion to Iran. What we see today. When a prophet comes, he brings elevation not just for his, unless you're a tribe prophet. We have messengers in different sizes for different conditions, for what they understand to enlighten their flock, as we call it. Muhammad did good for the Arabs because they're Bedouins, they had nothing. But how he brought change to educated, knowledgeable nations through murder, to stop them in their tracks of the knowledge that the Bedouins can reach. And Bedouins in 1,400 years have not managed to reach it. The beauty of the knowledge, the culture of Syrians, the beauty and knowledge of the depth of culture in Egypt. Even Muslims, the Saudis have never managed to get to it. The same with Iran. They made by force of sword Muslims, and then they interfere in forcing us religion to be a rule. But they haven't learned anything from the culture. You can buy, but you cannot change. Saudis with all their wealth today are buying the latest technology. But have you been there? Have you seen them? They still eat like Bedouins and worse than backward people in Africa. You're ashamed to be with the Saudis, some of the Saudis in the same restaurant, just because they have the money. And the same we've seen with many. I used to go to Frankfurt a lot. I used to spend a lot of time in Frankfurt sometimes. And in Frankfurt, there is a restaurant called Hafez near the exhibition center. And at the beginning of the first years of revolution, these mullahs used to come to different things to Frankfurt. And they used to come to this restaurant. It's a beautiful restaurant, very small, but some of the most beautiful, delicious foods, Iranian food in Germany you can in this restaurant. And he used to have a display cabinet, like, self-service for salads. And these people who stole the money by killing many Iranians, robbing their homes and whatever in the name of what they call revolution, Ayatollahs and the rest of them used to come to this restaurant. And I've been there a few times, and the guy said he just really had to take it off for a while. They used to come and go with hand in the salad to put it on their plate in the salad side. And go in there and put it in their mouth. You could see part of the salad still dropping from their beard. The wealth did not bring culture. The strangest thing is that the people of religious go backwards in humanity, and the people of the religion, but in the civil side, grow in what you call it, knowledge. Because one is there to gain to give, one is there to gain to steal. Soon you'll see the end of the Islamic rules in Iran. Very soon, sooner than you can think. not because of revolution, but by people turning back on what was forced on them. Religion would have no value. We see the same thing in Italy. Italy has happened, but it's so subtle. It's underneath. People don't go to churches anymore because they're Italians and the Vatican. So what Muhammad brought to enlighten the Arab world or Saudis has brought pain and suffering to those who are ignorant to the rules of Lenin. Lenin had a very good, if you read the instruction of Lenin, he said, when you capture a government, when you capture a country, give the most important jobs to those of the lowest level, have no understanding. And give the mean jobs, the smallest, to the ones of knowledge and power. And you can rule. Because the one at the bottom who never could believe get to this point, fights to hold on to it. And the one who had knowledge, got the most mean jobs, is all suffering. Why should I be here? This is not my place. So you keep the two busy and you run the country. This is the way Iran is run today. We have given our nation to a bunch of ignorant, non-intellectual, but robbing the nation. And soon this will change. They are grabbing to the power by killing and everything else. And one man of knowledge is busy trying just to survive daily life. We see this the same in many countries. As I said to the Ayatollahs, touch me, I abolish you. Not with guns, but with your own lies, with your own soul. You do it to yourself, not with me. The power of knowledge will bring the end of religions. But did Muhammad bring to create war? He was supposed to be a prophet to bring peace. Why do you say, As-salam, peace on you? You peace on you and then behead him? Doesn't match, doesn't work. You say shalom in the Jewish language and then you create mayhem and lock millions of Palestinians up. Which part do you peace? I said to a Jewish guy or a Jewish rabbi, a very interesting thing. If you're knowledgeable, or if you've seen when you enter a Jewish home, there's a little placard on the right-hand side on the door. And you see when the Jews go into the house, they touch it and they kiss it. Inside that little bracket on the wall, there's a part of Torah. In a way, it says, take the love of me into the house. That's all it is. When you go in the house, go with the love of me as Moses. I said to him, you know what you should do, Jews? You should put one of these on every El Al flight, every flight go to Israel, that you kiss it, that when you enter your country, you take the love of the world to it, not bring a hate to it. What do you call a love? To bring love? Is it just your own home or your nation? Your nation is Palestine. Do you put your child, one of them, in one room and lock it up and feed the others? Is this how Moses was supposed to do, even though he was ruthless, killing so many? It doesn't make sense. Religion has lost its sense. Now we understand the work of the soul. There is no, what we call it, intermediaries. So, did Muhammad bring knowledge to Arabs, or did the Arabs went to, in a way, because they couldn't understand it, they don't have the foundation of it, they went to the others. If you work, I worked for years with the Saudi royal family and them lot, for years and years, from a very young age. Saudis always have an advisor who has culture. Many Egyptians. You don't find a Saudi advisor to a king. You find an Egyptian, a Syrian advisor to their leaders. Because they don't have the culture. 4 or 5, 6 years ago, we stayed in a hotel in west of Italy, and we were in the same hotel as the Minister of Education of Saudi Arabia. He was there with his family when we were as a family. And in a few encounters with his advisor, who was an Egyptian, he would not talk till his advisor has advised him how to talk. I worked with one of the top princes of the Saudi Arabia for years. He never spoke himself in a meeting unless his advisor, Dr. Eid, was available and advising what to say. Bringing whatever to Saudi did not bring them integrity and knowledge of wisdom of the life. I've been among these people for many years, and it's crazy how money has not brought them any culture. Leave them alone, they still eat with the hand, doesn't matter, there's a golden plate and a golden spoon and a golden table and chair. Gold covers the Saudis of their, what I call, lack of everything. Physicality is taking over the brain. When you go to the Saudi embassy in Brussels, you'll be amazed the gold table and chairs in the boardroom and the meeting rooms. It's a cover for stupidity and no knowledge and no integrity. You can dress a monkey with the most beautiful clothing in the world, but you don't change the monkey, it's still a monkey. Any other question?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. We have a number of questions here. You see, let's try from Zenka in the Q&A here. He's got.
There is something I have to mention. It's on the net. I haven't seen it, but now it's in public, nothing to do with the Keshe Foundation site. We had a family in Brazil who had battles with the new corona, and the child was affected mentally. We advised through the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation how to handle the new corona, and now she sent me a note today that she's gone public with it or whatever, how to overcome this situation with a new corona, which is supposedly is coming back and is back but in different strength. Please, if you have tackles with it, this family has used the consultation of the Keshe Foundation in how to handle the new corona condition, which brings a lot of mental condition, whether for the 6-year-old child or boy, whatever. If you see or observe this broadcast or this disclosure, make a note of it. Dr. Barapur will release once, if we see it, if it becomes predominant, how to handle the new corona through gases very effectively. It's not as before. The old corona interacted with the physical condition. This new corona interacts with emotion, and it's very, very dangerous. Some of our knowledge seekers so very close to us have battled with it for a few weeks. They know who they are. We stood by them, and it takes time to go. It takes weeks to walk out of this. Brings depression, brings suicidal conditions, they report to us. It brings a lot of emotional conditions. And this will come to you, because now it's gone into public with this interview, whatever it is, wherever it is. I've not seen it. But we hear that European nations are bringing back the restrictions again in the winter time with the corona. But if you are touched by it, listen to this. The family were given advice, our team in Iran were given advice on how to handle the new corona. And it takes weeks to walk out of it. And it's very emotional. you go through the symptoms of corona, but what they report to us, they become suicidal, they become depressed. Depression is beyond imagination in some cases, what we hear. So please, we have released the use of the ganses for the new version of the corona to some of the knowledge seekers, and as I said, Dr. Varapur, in due course, will release it internationally. Carry on, please.
Okay, the question from Zenka. First question is, says, I know of a man who is also involved in high consciousness and galactic contact. He woke up one day with blonde hair and blue eyes, one day for the next. He quit his career and began to work in consciousness. Do you think he went through this same process? I'm assuming
Elevation of the soul has no time and place, and soul or color or race. So it is, you can do, mankind has done, as I said. We have seen this before, and it's not exclusive to the Keshe Foundation.
Another question from Zenka. What is the tipping point needed with the satellite wisdom seekers? Is the idea to just move out leaders who are out of resonance with the future?
Oh, no. It's nothing to do moving you worldly leaders. No.
Will
we
these
just
leaders,
gave you an example.
Will these leaders have spiritual awakenings?
That's our job. You're there to provide the soul.
So would that be what would be called elevation of the soul, is what people call spiritual awakenings?
In a way, yes. Elevation of the soul is not awakening.
Okay. Zenka also asks, what awaits humanity on the other side of this transition? Will it be a cosmic renaissance? What will be different? Our human capabilities, rapid manifestation from thought to materialization?
Can you repeat that?
What awaits humanity on the other side of this transition? Will it be a cosmic renaissance? What will be different? Our human capabilities?
It depends on you. It depends on you what you want to achieve. As we have it, we sit in the enhancement center. People come and says, we haven't come here to fly. We just want to do this, or we want to do that. And people come here and say, just want to fly. And they see as ultimate point of flying. If they don't achieve it, there's something wrong with them. But they achieve everything else. Is expectation. What do you expect? What do you want?
Well, you mentioned, for example, that it'll become harder for leaders and, well, perhaps everyone to lie, because things will become more transparent. It'll be obvious, and it's already is. It's becoming like a clown show in a way, because it's becoming so obvious. But is that part of that transition, that essentially we start to become more telepathic as a race, as a humanity, and that way you basically can't get away with lying, because everyone knows exactly when someone's telling them the truth or not?
In a way, yes. And the ones who lie, they keep on telling you everybody else lies, because they lie all the time themselves. It's very interesting. Those who lie accuse the others that they're lying because they lie on themselves all the time. And this is how it's going to be till they find out they lie themselves to everything. Any other question?
One final question from Zenka. What changes are let me see, what changes are through you occur in the lives of the people going through the units? I guess what changes occur in the lives of the people going through the units? Will they feel divine or lightweight? Will they experience synchronicities more often?
They report all sorts of things. They report all sorts. They report lightness. They report being like in a cloud, having no weight. We noticed that when we used to use the chairs 1, 2, and 3, always chair 2 was where they could feel that there were no weight, they start losing the weight. And when they were coming back out of the system, they were gaining the weight, and then the first system, they suddenly felt their back. They have to, as I explained it before, it's like people who go in the water and they just walk out. In the water, you can lift your girlfriend and throw her to the other side. You just walk with your legs still in the water. You can't even lift the girlfriend. So it's the condition change. You're coming from the sea or ocean of the fields of the higher order into the dimension of the fields of the matter state. And it's different. Cannot be described better than this. It's amazing how every time I go, you go into a refrigerator, or you go into a freezer rooms, and people usually put a jacket, they go in, but if you go in and out, you feel the change in the temperature. Well, when you come out of the freezer room, you're still shaking because you just come out of such a massive cold weather. Every time I go into the Lynch flying system, I get that condition. I'm very sensitive to the fields. I feel all of it, whatever is there. Worse than me is Klaus. Klaus is amazing when he feels the fields. He just goes, and for me, every time I go in and out, it's just going into a freezer, out of a freezer. But this freezer is a field difference between outside and what we have created inside the room. The system doesn't shut. It always stays active. And you feel it. And when we change parameters in the room, we feel it. We hear noises. We are aware of the interaction, where to go and what to look for. The machines don't make noise, but when you come in the center, the interaction of their fields create noise, and different noises comes from different part of it. That room is such a noisy place. It's amazing. It's an energy field transfers. Any other question?
We have a hand up with Salamia. I almost said a sand up with Halamia.
Hi, Rick. Thank you very much. Hello, Mr. Kesh. Hello, everybody. My question is related to winter, nuclear winter. As Russia said these days, it's a threat. I hope that it's only a threat and will not become reality. And my question is, can we help in the direction of the peace in this case, and how? Thank you very much.
Yes, as I have said before in the teachings, Keshe Foundation has already opened the channels of communication and transfer of technology to IAEA for eventuality of anything goes wrong in Ukrainian nuclear reactor sites or outside. And as has been our tradition, I explained before, when we had the problem in Italy, we opened the Italian factory and the Italian structure for the Italian government to help. We have allowed and we have opened the stock valuability and technology of Keshe Foundation to IAEA. Mr. Grossi has already confirmed the receipts of communication and are working on it. We don't work outside, we work directly with Grossi's office personally, and they know if there need be technologies there to support. And there are all sorts of ways this can be done. There are all sorts of technologies which we can implement to support any event.
Thank you very much. And I have another story to share concerning a friend who was in coma about 2-3 months in the hospital because of this virus. And my mom came on my dream and said to me, don't be sad, and please tell to the family that he will be okay. And I call on the Zoom, I inform all the community, international community, about my dream. And he came back from in life from the coma and just share with us what he was listening, and he was, yeah. So I think that plasma technology enable us to communicate more and more with our relatives, which knows the truth now. They see the future, the past, and the present at once. They are beside time and space. And also, I think that we become messengers, and we can know the truth with their help. If we communicate at the plasma level, I mean at the soul level, with them, and we'll travel at the soul level during our sleeping or not sleeping in delta state of mind, of waves, radiation waves of the brain, of the, yes, maybe of the brain, not of the mind. And this is one proof that we can know the future, and we can influence the future in a good way. The condition is to have this emotion, to trust, to send this wish in the universe, in the unicos, and in the soul of everybody, to elevate them to trust that nowadays we are the messengers, we are the promised one. As Jesus Christ said, I can do miracles, you can do miracles, everybody can do, because all we are the son of the creator, sons of the creators. So plasma technology just explain in a scientific way this true, and I'd like to thank you very much, because every day, every time, you wish for humanity to understand and to practice this technology to elevate their soul. I'd like to come in Linz. Unfortunately, my my life does not allow me for the moment to travel and to do what my soul want to do. But at the soul level, I went many times there, and I thank you very much that you create such amazing unit which can help humanity to pass in another circle of elevation of the soul. But by this, how do you call, Shanti vortex? I mean, the vortex of peace, or this satellite. This satellite can be a satellite without a strong vortex of the souls, and vortex of the peace, I am sure, will bring humanity peace. Thank you. God bless you. I love you, Mr. Keshe.
Very well. Any other question?
Yes, we have a hand up with Dean next.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, I've listened to some of the teachings this morning. Can I ask you?
Where were you for the rest of it?
I've been busy doing various things. So, Mr. Keshe, what is the key? What is the fundamental key to peace on planet Earth? What is the technology? What is the ignition? What is the point where the tipping point, the elevation? What is the key to this this peace on planet Earth?
Loving. When you love, that's all. Because when you love, you give, you don't take. You interviewed the couple on Tuesday when they came out of the machine.
I did.
You interviewed them the first as they came out, and you saw their emotion. And with the sound problems, you interviewed them the second time, a few hours later, where they had time to actually chew what happened to them. Yeah. And when you listen to the interview, you'll see they talk different in the second interview. The words are different, and there's more wisdom into it. And in part, if I'm correct, the guy says that in the next couple of days we'll see changes or something like that. So
yeah, you did say that, Mr. Keshe.
Yeah, they I think what we see is that they found love. They found something which was missing between two of them. And the man was very emotional, as we will see it in the recording, because I think he realized how much love he was missing to give. And realizing with the condition, he speaks for the health condition, realizing how he was more concentrated on his own than actually the partner to give to. And he talks about the changes to come because he became wise to what he has not given in the relationship. So the balance is when man become a lover and then become like a creator. That's the tipping point.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe. So, Mr. Keshe, you said that the key is loving. So we have positions on the planet now where certain souls have intentions, or for them, loving is a completely different field strength, a completely different interaction than how other people perceive loving. So how do we
try to be precise to be precise?
So some people love is dominating, is controlling. Other people's love is expressing and giving unconditionally to them, to their understanding, and giving as much as they can. So on a level with somebody who claims to be in judgment of others, and then another who is working in a different position on the planet, and gives a love that is genuine, to help. How do you see this role reversal so that the planet has this loving aspect?
There is not a role reversal. It's those, the ones you talk like rulers and the leaders, they love themselves to stay in power. They're not there for love of the others. They're not to give. They want, they say, for the better of the nation. But as long as I am there and I head the nation and it's for me. So it's not loving a nation. It's not loving the structure, but themselves. It is what we see and what we have and what we can give for. How can I put it? I'm trying to be very diplomatic, as you call it, which is not me. I'm not trying to be diplomatic, but trying to put it in a very right way. I heard this week, Iran leadership, Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, has instructed the military forces to cut the people like grass and throw their bodies away, those who go against the regime, with what is going on in Iran. And I wrote to one of the knowledge seekers, when it comes to this point, the leaders lose the love of the nation, and that's the end of the cycle. Because they love themselves, they love the power they have, and nothing else matters. When you are a leader of a nation, you love your nation. Every love counts. Every love is precious. Then you understand why I have so much respect and admiration for Gorbachev. What we see on the streets of Tehran, what we see now in Russia, started against Putin, this could have been channeled into love and care what the nation wants, and not killing the nation. Then you understand truly what a great man Gorbachev was. Not life, one life worth more than his, and he wasn't prepared to put soldiers on the street. He said, you decide as nations. You want to stay Russia, you stay Russia. You want to become separate countries, become separate countries. And when we look at totality of these nations, 15 countries and satellites of Russia, you see nothing but poverty in all of them. They are independent, but only for those who stayed in the leadership. The rest of the nation, I've traveled through these countries. Poverty, the hardship is so much. It hasn't brought freedom. It hasn't brought the change. So the love of a leader has to elevate the soul of his citizens, not just for himself to gather what we call financial gain. There's a certain amount of comfort which goes with leadership, but not by force. The whole structure of understanding has to be the way Keshe Foundation said. We are all knowledge seekers. We all respect each other in respect to the knowledge and know more of what we have. I've devoted my life to bringing the change through knowledge and science and technology, and we've seen how much abuse we stood. But this is a transition I accepted because it cannot be all, what do you call it, honey and butter, as they call it. But you enforce these conditions the way we see, you will face with the, what do you call it, the harshness of return of people. What I see, because I'm very close to this, I know what's going on. You look at the soldiers on the streets of Tehran who are killing, none of them are Iranian. None carries Iranian passport. The Syrians, they are from Iraq in the back streets, whatever they've been promised, huge wages. We saw that during the revolution. There's now running Iran with the salam. He says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Where is the barakah and where is the peace on this? Except as long as I'm in power. I see the end of the cycle of Islam in Iran very rapidly. Not by revolution, by loss of the love of the leaders for the nation. The same we see in other countries. Same is boiling up in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia position is worse than Iraq. We see the same in Palestine. Palestinian numbers are increasing more than the Jews. Jews, all the battle is going with the other Islamic countries is to hold on to the power. The easiest thing Israelis leaders can do is just open the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, all as one nation, and then you will see the whole world will open, but they don't have that mentality.
Mr. Kesh, can I, sorry, I didn't interrupt you there. I didn't mean to. So instead of these positions, these souls, these physical beings that have a certain position, is there a position where they can flip, they can change in an instant with just a thought to give, to become this loving, instead of ending up in a rat hole with the people chasing them, to flip it so the people flower them, come to them with gifts and love them, because that's power, that's beauty. That's a difference.
Yeah, but they don't have that mentality. They don't have that mentality. And they don't come from that educated background. Education doesn't come in one generation. Culture doesn't come in one generation. Culture is bred over centuries. And those in power in Iran have no culture. Those in Saudi Arabia have no culture. They don't come from that breed. They've never been. The thieves of Baghdad robbing overnight. It's like what you say in English, Robin Hood. But listen to what you say, rob in the hood. It means thieves of Baghdad, rob in the dark when you cover a hood on your face. It's not the name. And this is part of the culture we see. It's not just, you got to understand all this is happening because there's an end to a cycle of what man has done for thousands of years. You see the last thirds cleaning up themselves of the system. And it has to be done not by being a religious leader, but changing, bringing in what I call a cycle that it does not necessitate what we see today. No man should sleep hungry, and no man should be sleeping in wealth. You go to Vatican, you've been there. Knowledge seekers have been with me and I've said it many times. You walk behind that boundary of that circle where Vatican starts into Rome, you see all the beggars sleeping in cardboard boxes and the wealth inside the Vatican. Is this what it is? Religions are there together. Well, this is what to be now is just there to mature, to bring the next step. What should be a palace that has 200 rooms and one person occupies it and so many people sleep hungry? Where is the justice? If you go to Kinshasa, Kinshasa is a very typical city. part of Kinshasa, you pass the palace of the president. And during the last president, the father, and I think this is the same, these criminals go to sleep lunchtime. And they actually close the road passing the palace that you might make a noise that could be heard a kilometer away inside the palace. The arrogance and the abuse goes so much that they close part of the city because the president's going to sleep. Is he going to sleep? Or as we found out, he's with 3 or 4 Russian ladies. This is the hypocrisy they want to say they have power. And all these will come to an end.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. I think, I sense, and in this moment, that I wish them all love. I wish them unconditional love that they receive from the elevation of the soul, to receive a field strength that elevates them and touches their very soul, the very essence of creation. So they're
too busy to receive it. They're too busy to receive it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You'd have to get in a 24-hour lineup for that one, I hear.
Yeah, there is an abuse of power in the political scene and others, which these people could never dream to be in it, but when they get in it, they don't want to let it go. The question shall be called today. It's nearly 12 o'clock.
Okay, we do have a question from Malcolm in the YouTube here, who's interested in the flight simulation experience, and especially for his loved one, which is who's been diagnosed with dementia, but a quantum scan showed an old injury to his brain. So would the flight simulation experience be beneficial? Have you had anyone with that in the system? And the other part of the question is, or would it be more beneficial if he went through the system himself and then elevated his loved one's soul?
These are flight systems. And if you have anything to do with that side, you have to speak to the doctors of the Keshe Foundation. We don't promote our systems as medical systems. These are flight test systems. But if you need support or whatever, you have to speak to doctors of the Keshe Foundation, which now work with Keshe Foundation and using the technology for these kind of things. We do not carry a medical, so we don't produce medical systems. These are space flight systems and all developed for space technology. Any other question?
Let me see here. From Anna in the Q&A, again, somewhat of a medical question. Who says there's, Mr. Kesh, there's an urgent need for young people and adolescents with anxiety and depression and suicidal ideas. And she's saying, please support us physicians with the support of these conditions.
We have a full technology to reverse this. Keshe Foundation is in possession of full knowledge technology. Very effective. Extremely effective. As we are not involved in medical application on this planet, join us on the moon, we can do it because the rules of the earth does not apply, as I call it. If you understand exactly what I mean, we have Keshe Foundation is in position with the knowledge for all this bulimia, everything else that you have, FMS and the rest of it. But we are not in the medical practice. And we use this technology for the space development. But we have set precedents for showing that the technology is extremely effective with these things. And it's not our fault. It's the fault of what we had, what we went through. If you were not knowledge seekers around us, we just came out of 5 years of what I call lockdown, with all the accusation knowledge seekers who went and saw what happened to us in Belgium. The conduct of the world leaders has set up for others to suffer like as we see other places. We have the knowledge and effective knowledge to handle these conditions.
Well, there's a term called, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. We are talking to, I'm sure the knowledge are listening, we are talking to medical people in a nation that has and allows the technology of the Keshe Foundation really to be practiced. And if we come to an agreement with the government of this nation through these people who approached us with, if we can do such a thing, then we'll openly work in this country for development, and most of the knowledge seekers can travel to this clinic to be set up or whatever next year or whatever will happen. For all sorts of interventions by medical people use of the technology application. It's not so easy at the moment with especially every country. The biggest, one of the biggest bribe houses in the 99% of the countries at the top, one is Ministry of Defense when they buy arms, and one is the Ministry of Health. And they're all being paid by pharmaceuticals to create restrictions on the others on new technology and the rest, to deliberately stop these things. But there's 1 or 2 countries which are still open, except North Korea, which we don't deal with. If you're from governments and you want to test all the lethal weapons, you go to the North Korea and they do it for you because human life has no value. All the biochemicals, all the chemical warfare tests for the Americans and other countries are done in North Korea. They shout at a friend they don't want to do nothing with nuclear power underneath. They do all their tests in North Korea. But we haven't got to that level yet to be so inhumane. But we'll let you know if these things happen gradually. We'll let the knowledge seekers know where to go to. Any other question?
Dimitri had a question in the chat that I missed. Can British nationals attend the conference in England online if they live in another country?
This is not a conference. We don't want to get involved. People come. We want to get a consensus on the total position in respect to England. We see other things and positions needs to be, completed, and we might have opportunity and position to do that in England with our knowledge seekers, support of our knowledge seekers in UK. And so I feel more comfortable to operate within English territory on so many fronts. As I lived there for nearly 30 years, and I know the structure, I know how the things to be done and got to be handled, especially on the research and development side. Somebody said, "Are you moving in because the Queen has gone?" Yes, she has nothing to do with it. We don't know what we're going to get with Charles, but hopefully it'll be better.
You don't want to be king of the Commonwealth, Mr. Kesh?
We already have. There is no more Commonwealth. Nobody needs to be a king. You are still a subject of the Queen, Mr. Clement.
We're now the subject of the king, actually. It's all been,
Yeah.
all been signed over.
You've
We
been
thought,
sold.
we thought our prime minister was the head of our country, but he just signed it all over to the king, actually.
He had to swear to his, what do you call it, to his masters. Any other question?
Well, I know you want to wrap it up here, and we're pretty much through the questions as well. You've done very well.
Yeah, we done very well. Thank you very much indeed. As I said, we need many, many more satellite knowledge seekers. And just don't stop coming to LINS, register for it, because if we don't test on the ground, we cannot test outside. And please still keep on coming to LINS on the trial test so we can fulfill our satellite conditions, and then we can go for a space flight. Thank you very much, Rick. And hopefully we'll meet next week. Thank you for your time.
Okay, very good. Thank you once again for another workshop, Mr. Kesh. 451 here now. This
We
is
soon will be about the 10th year coming up in the next 2 or 3 months.
yes, it's hard to imagine, but it's true. Wow.
Thank you very much, Rick, for all your support and work. We try to get this testimonial. It's been transcribed to German, needs to be transcribed to English, and then we release it maybe next week. Thank you very much, Rick.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's it for today's Knowledge Seekers workshop here on Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. The next public teaching workshop will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace with the Universal Council. And that's coming up on Tuesday, September 27th, and that starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time. Okay, I think that's all of our announcements for now. Thank you, everybody, for your questions and comments today. Thank you again, Mr. Kesh, for being here and for all of these wonderful Knowledge Seekers workshops over 9+ years now. And we look forward to more in the future. Okay, we're going to go out with one of our favorites, the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. And can all do a little clapping and dancing on the way out here.